Hello leaders, I'm Patrick Jinks, leadership and strategy coach and president of the Jinks Perspective, and this is episode 7 of Perspectives in Nonprofit Leadership. How do you feel about your staff meetings? Actually, a better question is, how does your staff feel about your staff meetings? Here's a hint. Before you answer for them, you might want to ask them. Maybe even in a way that they can answer anonymously. It might surprise you that people will tell coaches things they won't tell their CEO. Here's the thing. People hate staff meetings. If you do a quick web search on why people hate staff meetings, you'll find plenty of content. This is not a new topic, but I'd like to share the Jinks perspective on this. And my hope is that you'll challenge yourself to try something. To make it simple, let me cut straight to it. Your meetings may be too long. If that's not you, then disregard. But if you think it might be, then consider that the most common reason that meetings last too long is because they're neither adequately planned nor skillfully facilitated. Unfortunately, the typical staff meeting is not much more effective than the typical board meeting, which we covered back in episode 3. Someone opens the meeting, and then everyone goes around the room and tells everyone what's going on in their world. In other words, report outs. Generally, one or more of the things reported on might create some debate about something insignificant. And before you know it, an hour's gone by, 2 hours. And to get everyone back on the job, the leader says, look, we'll just come back to it later, and then dismisses everyone. Now, there are variations of this scenario, but you get the point. For a suggested solution, I'd like to turn to a concept I learned from Charles Adler, of all people, co-founder and former CEO of Kickstarter. Charles spoke at a conference I attended a few years ago and shared with the audience his process for giving himself no more than 30 days on a major project. 30 days. In the nonprofit sector, we feel successful if we complete a project in 30 weeks or months. And sometimes we've been working on something for 30 years. We run it through committees, we make sure we have everyone's buy-in, we conduct stakeholder surveys, and when it doesn't get done, we just make sure it gets added to our next strategic plan. I'm being a tad tongue-in-cheek here, but it's not too far off the mark for many organizations. Charles's point was that if he can't accomplish a major project in 30 days, it probably isn't important enough, or he just isn't focused. I found myself being challenged to achieve a major project in 30 days, and I haven't quite gotten there, but I can tell you that I've definitely shortened the runway on a number of things, like this YouTube channel. I feel the same way about meetings. Less is more, and perfect is often the enemy of progress. What does this have to do with staff meetings? Well, Charles wasn't talking about staff meetings, of course, but it came to my mind. So here's a question for you. What if you limited your staff meetings to 30 minutes? Sound impossible? Not feasible? Before you dismiss the idea, download the coaching sheet in the video description below and answer some other questions first. Questions like, why are you even meeting? Who is charged with keeping the meeting on track? What do you need to prepare for the meeting? How can your staff come more prepared? Instead of deciding what the topics need to be, determine what the objectives need to be. What needs to be true because you had this staff meeting? Don't get me wrong, I understand the value of sharing information, and I even understand the value of just getting people together in a room. But I hear too many staff members say that they're usually just antsy about all the things they could and should be doing if they weren't tied up in an unproductive staff meeting for 2 hours. Just know this, the less prepared you and your team are, the longer your meetings will be. And the less clarity you have on what you need to achieve in the meeting, the more your staff will dread meetings and complain about them to others and to each other. Winston Churchill is long credited with declaring that if he was to speak for 5 minutes, he needed a week to prepare his speech. But if he was asked to speak for an hour, he was ready to go at any time. Shortening your staff meetings takes a little more time on the front end, but it saves your team from inefficiency in the long run. Believe me, I understand there are times when 30 minutes is nowhere near sufficient. But take this challenge and see what you can learn from it. What if your staff meeting was limited to 30 minutes? What could you achieve? How would you run it differently? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel by clicking the red subscribe button below this video. And don't forget that we would love to explore ways that the Jinks Perspective can help your organization with strategy, executive leadership, board engagement, or employee engagement. So there's always a link in the video description below if you'd like to schedule a free discovery call with me at any point. I would look forward to that. As always, we're here to help you achieve clarity, simplicity, and mission alignment in everything you do. That's the Jinx Perspective. See you next week.